Well, hello, folks. I hope I'm being heard. I just went from the car to it's been a whirlwind day. It's been a whirlwind week I don't even know where I was this weekend. I don't even know. Didn't we do a show on, I don't remember where I've been, where I was. I was just came back from Palm Springs to do some wonderful stuff I needed to do. And, got a flight out early in the morning, but we're going to get this done. We're going to talk about what went on at these wild weekend and what uh, happened, what's going to happen, and so there was my predictions for this for this weekend, and it just didn't come out right. Titans, Chiefs, Packers, Bucks. I was 1 for 4. That is not good. And we're going to talk about all that stuff. So let me come on camera here. And there we go. See, I got my new Bengals hat on. Not that I'm rooting for them because I'm going to root for the Chiefs. I just like Bengals is my favorite helmet. I think it's unique. It's a cool logo. It's just a unique helmet. It's not like the side to side logos. Excuse me. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the only ones that also have kind of a unique logo because it's a one-sided logo. They have the Steeler logo on the side, and then am I glowing? What am I? Am I in heaven? What is that going on here? So we're gonna bring on our sports glutton folks. So here is Casey. Hello, Casey.
Hey.
Hey, and Casey gave us some input today. I was working on it in the car. I'm going to try to get it on as hard as I can. Julio, thanks for coming in. He must be going through some happy times here for the Rams. And Remy is with us. And she could be going for San Francisco for all I know coming up this week. But Julio, what was your take on this weekend?
Amazing games, all of them. I mean, it's probably the best week of playoff football that I've ever seen in my lifetime. I mean,
Oh yeah, everything was won by a field goal, right? Or 3 of the games, or all of the games, or
all on the last possession.
15 points, the last possession. Yeah, the history and like in overtime or with no time left.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion on Twitter and Facebook and other things about how this rule has got to change, this overtime rule. And I'm one of the believers that the defense really needs to step up also to stop. I mean, if you can't stop them, maybe you deserve to lose on that last series. But still, a fluke play gets you in the end zone. It's not really right. You play all that 60 minutes. You might as well give each team one chance at it. So, and the fans would love it. It's right. What any thoughts?
I agree with you. I don't like the overtime rules in the playoffs, but everybody's been discussing it all week on different channels, and they're making it so much harder, like of a way to figure it out. And it's like, to me, it's like at least let each team touch the ball once. So even if you score a touchdown, touch it once, and if the other team scores a touchdown, I don't know what, you figure it out. I mean, just play the 10 minutes like they do in regular season. It's the playoffs. I know you can't end in a tie, but everybody's like, well, then they won't play as hard, and then they might wait till the end. But I was listening to one talk show, and this guy came up with an idea that sounds really good. And 10% of games go into overtime anyway. But when you win the kickoff, if you defer that kickoff, then you actually defer if you go into overtime, which might have some merit behind it because, you defer when you win the toss at the beginning to maybe get the wind in your favor, or you want to get the ball first in the second quarter. But now knowing that it could cost you an overtime toss, things might be done differently. That was a good idea. But I say play a 10-minute. You don't have to play a whole 15. Do it like they're doing now. They play the 10 minutes, but at least let both teams get to touch the ball, because the fact that we never got to see Josh Allen again, I mean, that really stunk. That game was I was exhausted after that. I mean, after the Rams game, then to go watch that in 5 minutes, I needed a nap. I couldn't even function afterwards. I was so exhausted. But at the same time, I do blame the coaching a little bit. Squibb kicked that ball. I mean, you don't want to give Mahomes more yardage, but if you take off 5 extra seconds off the clock, now he has 8 seconds. And he gets 1 play off. He doesn't get 2, and they might not get that field goal. So they should have kicked that kick and made it a little harder on him, but who knows? I guess they thought. And then they went into that little bit of prevent. How do you leave Tyreek Hill and Kelsey open? You guarded them all night and gave them nothing. Now you let them. I just don't get it. I don't get the calling on that end. I don't have the defenses are both gassed. I'm sure you score 28 points in the last 2 minutes of a game or whatever, something ridiculously crazy.
Right.
It was 21-24 going in the fourth quarter, and the game was 36 to 41 or something crazy.
Casey, which was your favorite game going on to this weekend?
Well, I just real quick, if you don't mind, I want to chime in on the overtime.
Yeah, go ahead.
I definitely think each team should have a chance at the ball because of the fact that the defenses now are always on the on the defensive. It's become an offensive game, and so to have it decided by a coin flip when 80% and they showed, I believe, on the coin flip, I think 80% have been won by the team that's won the coin flip is the number. So I do think you have to have a way where both teams can touch the ball, because to say, well, your defense should step up. The game has gone very offensive. Also, towards the end of the game, the defense is the one that's usually gassed. But I do like a way of limiting the play, because so many injuries could happen if you do an extended overtime. And especially if you're the last game, like the Bills and Chiefs there, well, you're the last game of the week. You're going into the following week. And if you're playing extra minutes and you're having more chance of players getting hurt. So I think they need to strike a balance between giving each team a chance to have a chance to win in overtime, but limiting the number of plays. They don't want to go to the college system because they don't want to imitate the college system. Now, that's probably the biggest reason they don't go to the college system, is they want to separate themselves.
Yeah,
those are both great takes. Both great takes. I agree with Casey and I agree with Remy. Both are great takes. It's just that in the moment, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes both were on fire. They were just burning the secondaries, and you want to see Josh Allen have another opportunity. I get it. But yeah, injuries could happen. If this keeps going on and on and on, if you get, longer minutes, injuries, one of the teams might, go into the next game gassed with injuries on top of that. So I totally understand both takes. But at that moment, it was just so breathtaking, and we're all in the moment. We just want to see Josh Allen one more time.
Yeah, you gotta give each team a chance. It's just. I mean, what did it used to be? Didn't it evolve into what this was? It used to be a little worse, I think.
The first person that scored got even a field goal would win the game. Then they said, nope, you have to touchdown first. And if you don't, then the other team gets it. Now, if you score a touchdown first, it's over. So it's just the same, but now it's not. It's
right.
Yeah.
It's
easier to get a field goal than a touchdown. In the old way, people would just get in field goal range and kick a field goal.
Right.
But it's still won by the person who wins the toss. Like Kate and
each
80% of the teams that win the toss win the overtime game. But when you look at it too, you change the rules a little bit, because like they said, 10 games out of 272 games went in overtime this year. So, I mean, the percentage of it going in overtime isn't like it's going to happen where it's like, oh my God, it ruined everything.
Right. But still, it's especially in the playoffs, it's too critical to not let each team touch the ball. So we're going to have, let's throw this in here for now. I hope this works.
The NFL divisional playoffs are in the books, and that means it's time for your tasty Casey take.
So we'll be having some of those coming in. We'll be having those, and
And the disclaimer there, I was a little glammed up because I had to do an audition tape for a music video before that, so I just kind of morphed it and did the next thing, which usually ends up happening with those things. That's why I'm a little dressed up. It's like I'm usually doing an audition tape, and I'll tack on Casey takes.
Well,
That's
Casey, I was
fine.
going to say, I like that dress. It was a really pretty dress. I like it. That's gonna...
Well, it's good. You could use
Two
that for an
birds.
audition tape.
Let's
Two
hope the
birds, one
casting
stone.
agents like the dress too.
Yeah, you could use that. So let's see here. We had going into this week. It's 51. I thought it was 52. Oh boy, what do I know? It's 56.
Yeah.
Is this Super Bowl 56? I am
Yeah.
so way off.
You're on pandemic time.
I have no. So I found out I'm doing the graphics for the NBC pregame show for the Super Bowl. So I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I don't know.
Congrats.
Thank you. I don't know if we'll be doing a show that week because I'll be there all week. So I don't know what time my schedule is, and I'm almost thinking if I can, I could do it from there, from SoFi Stadium.
Wow.
So that would be fun if I can get that done. I don't know if I can.
I'll meet you there, Todd.
Congratulations.
What was that?
I'll meet you there. My Rams make it.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Come on down. Come on down. I'm hoping like the guy again. I hate to say it. I'm hoping the guy doing the game gets sick so I can do the game. So this is like my ninth show, but yeah, I'm going to Tucson tomorrow for CBS, and then I'm like, I'm wondering if the guy doing the Chiefs game gets ill. I could run over there and do that game. So it's always fun. NFL's fun game to do. I enjoy doing. So we had the Titans and the Bengals. You know what? We got I hope this is the right one. Is this the Derrick Henry? Let's see if this comes up.
After a few plays, I thought.
I got to start it over because I got to get rid of that. And this is our first tasty cake.
Didn't look right. Early on, he was tackled for a loss, and he was down on
Derrick
one knee
Henry
in the middle of the play, and he just stopped. I think after Adrian Peterson came back so quickly from that severe ACL injury, we now expect all players to come back pretty quick and be as effective as they were. I kind of think that if this was the regular season, and if there really was no tomorrow, Derrick Henry might have been held back in this game.
Yeah, so I was totally disappointed in the Titans this week. Remy, what'd you think?
Yeah, well, Henry started looking good in the second half. I think he started getting his feet back in. I blame that loss on the coaching. They
hardly used Henry.
Tannehill. I don't know if Tannehill called that himself or what he did. Now a lot of people are not happy with Tannehill that he can't win the big game, which is they're 3 and done. And it's the first time too since 1980 that both first seeds were knocked out of the first round.
I remember, I was big on saying that the Titans are I was shocked that they're the number one seed. I don't know how they became the number one seed. That's just how the AFC is such a mess because the Titans they had to be one of the weakest number one seeds in a long time. It's just, and I know that. I remember we thought like without Derrick Henry they were doing really good and he was going to help and he just didn't help. What do you think, Casey, on that? To follow up what you were saying?
Yeah, well, it's just he was good, but he didn't have that forcefulness he usually has. You could just tell it just was a little off, which is to be expected. First game back, foot injury, so that has a lot to do with your pushing off. And the thing with the Titans is once you bought, and it's kind of funny. You almost think. You wish they would have went to Chuck. I'm going to call him Chuck Foreman because I'm thinking of Chuck Foreman, the Vikings running back, but it's Mr. Foreman, the other running back. I kind of wish they would have mixed him in a little more early on because putting the game in Tannehill's hands, as we saw, is just a recipe for disaster. I mean, that third pick he threw to really end the game, so to speak, set up the ending of the game, it was just ill-advised. I mean, how many Bengals players were around that receiver? I think at least 3, maybe 4. Yeah. So, and just to push back a little bit, Todd, the Titans, they ran off a string of wins there towards the end of the season. They had like a 4-game string where they beat like top teams, the Chiefs, the Ravens, with Lamar Jackson, if I recall correctly. So they were strong there for a while, but Tannehill.
They beat the Rams at SoFi as well.
They beat the Bills too.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of Tannehill. I think that he's just – who was he with? He was with Miami, right?
Miami.
And then he tore his ACL.
I'm not a fan of Tannehill. I don't know, Tennessee and their quarterbacks between him and Marcus Mariota.
And they sacked Burrow 9 times. That hasn't happened since Len Dawson in the championship game, like in 1962 or something like that. It's insane.
Yeah, it was so weird. It was a weird kind of game.
It does show you too you almost could weigh the difference between a sack and a turnover. In the sense that you had 3 turnovers with those interceptions and you had the 9 sacks, and the interceptions hurt the Titans worse than the sacks hurt Burrow and the Bengals. It's very interesting to see that really play out. You always hear, whoever wins the turnover battle's going to win the game. And in this one, you say, that really came to fruition.
I have a few takes on that game. And Casey, great point on Foreman. I think Foreman looked a lot better than Derrick Henry did whenever he got his touches. He was breaking off some nice yardage whenever they were, giving him the ball. But the other thing that surprised me, and I don't know if it surprised you as well, was that Bengals defense. We talked about the Tennessee defense all year, but wow, that Bengals defense really stepped up. And, the other thing that I noticed was Joe Burrow. Yeah, he was sacked 8-9 times. 9. And the kid still looked like he wasn't shaken by any of it. He wasn't, thrown off his game. He was still in the zone. That kid's going to be a star. He's got an arm. His reads are amazing. I think he's going to be a star.
And you look at, for example, when Kyler Murray, and I know it was in the end zone, so it's a little different, but he didn't take, he wasn't going to take the sack in the end zone in that Ram game. But in the sense of, and Stafford did it a few weeks ago too. It's like, okay, don't take the sack and just fling it up for grabs. And then you get the touchdown in the Rams game against the Cardinals, for example. I think the Stafford, I'm trying to remember which game it was. He just kind of whirled around and threw this wild pass that was intercepted. So it's almost like the poise of saying, okay, I'll take the sack. I won't throw it up for grabs. It sometimes can be a good thing, as opposed to trying to rescue it from nothing.
That's a great point, Casey. Yeah. Kick the ball back, 4th down. Don't give up the yardage on a sack. He's very mature, definitely very mature. He's not, he doesn't get phased. To think that this kid's only in his 2nd year, I mean, I think the Bengals have a superstar in the making here. He's just so talented.
I think really his first year, because he missed almost all of last season with that knee. So I really think this is his first year, in my opinion. Like they say his 2nd year, but he played 5 games last year and got hurt.
What do you think of their receiving team though? Do you think they could use some improvement?
No, I think.
I mean, they didn't want to go with Jamar Chase. They wanted to give him an offensive lineman. They kept going for Sewell, and they're like, no, that's a big mistake, him going after Jamar Chase, which now we know was the best decision they made. Because then now that leaves Mixon open more, and they just, Owajue, I can't say his name.
Yeah, it's tough.
They just they're gonna start gelling more and more. And now that Ben's retired, they're gonna. I see them taking over that. So
what do you? So then, okay. So
Chiefs
versus Bengals. What do you think?
Go for it, Julio.
I think Kansas City, City takes it, but I don't think it's either going to be a blowout or it's going to be close. I mean, I know that's 50-50, but it's just.
I think it depends if Cincinnati shows up because the Chiefs are pretty steady. I think it's up to the Bengals to see how they play. It's going to be, if the Chiefs secondary is better than Tennessee, and if their rushing defense is strong, so then you got the sacks plus the secondary taking care of business out there, and that could control the game if they could control Cincinnati's line and the rushing. So, I don't know. How was Cincinnati's defense in that last game? Were they? I don't remember what the score was on that one.
Isn't it 16-13 or something like that?
Was it that low scoring on the Cincinnati game?
It was pretty low, wasn't it?
It was low, yes.
Besides the Sunday's games, the Saturday games were really low scoring. Like no one could score on either. Those games are insane.
Todd,
Right. Well,
are you referring to the first Bengals Chiefs game? Because I think the first Chiefs Bengals game was a bit more. I think they had more scoring. I feel like Cincinnati had a fair amount of scoring in that first game. I don't have it in front of me, but also
they beat them, right? They played the beginning of the season when Kansas City was still off their game and their defense was still off, and they didn't have. Allaire looked amazing too. Like I was playing DraftKings and I didn't pick him because I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that leg. He might go out, and then he was like on fire. I'm like, what the? I should have picked him over Cam Akers, two-time fumble. What's that all about?
So it was 1916. They lost 1916. Well, the who are we talking about?
The Bengals and Titans.
Bengals Chiefs is the
Right,
first meeting.
Right.
Well, okay, but the last game, Bengals Titans, was 1916, and we're going to add someone to the mix here, Mr. Rick Pick, and
What's
get
up,
me in a
Cat?
second.
What's up, gang?
Hey.
So the Bengals beat the Titans 1916, and they're going against the Chiefs, who won 42-36. So, Rick, what was that, Rem?
Bengals can put up points, but the last two games they played, they haven't. So if they do that, they won't be able to come back. If Kansas City puts a bunch of points up, I don't see them being able to come back like Josh Allen could do. I don't see Burrow doing that yet, but they haven't been scoring a lot those last two games. So just depending on what Kansas City, if they let Kansas City get a 21-point lead, then I think the game would be over. But if
Kansas City's got the Honey Badger back too.
Huh?
What was
They
that?
got the Honey Badger back. He's coming back from his concussion.
They did give up 36 points, though, to the Bills. So it's not like they scored a lot and held the other team. They scored a lot and gave up a lot. So
but that's when Josh Allen started using his legs and running, and Burrow's doesn't do that. So because Josh Allen is that you can't. I mean, Josh Allen is a unicorn. That's all I can say.
Right. That's what I was talking about.
These guys played, right? These guys played not too long ago.
Yeah, they played the beginning of the season.
It was a good game, 34-31. Bengals took that game at home. So the Bengals are not going in there like feeling like we're lucky to be here. That's for sure. I think they're going in there feeling they could win with a offense that can put up points on anybody. And like you just said, I mean, the Bills put up 36 points?
36, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a tough one. I'm going back and forth on this one as far as with the point spread. 7 points with the Bengals seems very appetizing, but it's the Chiefs, and they might just smack them and just how
That's it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, how with like sports in general, NFL, NBA, like I kind of feel like the Bengals are knocking on the door. They're a newcomer, but they need to get slapped down real fast before they can get back up and kind of knock that door down. It seems would seem improbable that they would win this game.
I agree. I just think they're very inconsistent. I thought that there could have been games that they won and they didn't win, and they were a little disappointing. I don't think that they. I'm surprised that they made it this far. I'm surprised a lot of teams made it this far, but
why they won their division? They were actually
well,
really good.
a lot of people were saying when they put the brackets out that the Bengals did have a decent access to this game here, because they got the Titans, which we all felt the Bills and the Chiefs kind of was it was almost like a Super Bowl. I mean, that was just two power teams,
right.
And we got treated with a great game, and I got treated with a handful of tears at the end of that game, man. I couldn't believe I had that, I bet that game. I had the Bills. I had that lead with 13 seconds left, the cover. And then they got into field goal range. That was so ridiculous.
Should have squib kicked it. That's what I was telling them earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taking at least 5 or 6 seconds off the
at least 4, right? At least 4. Pick it up, run, get at least 4.
And
it changed everything, right? Because
then he only gets one play.
He only gets one play.
And he was playing prevent defense. I don't think he even had a free safety in the middle of the field.
Hill and Kelsey both open 12 yards and then 20 yards. How? With 13 seconds. How do you let that happen? Prevent defense, whoever invented that, they're dead now, thank God. And they should be brought back to life and killed again, because that is the stupidest defense ever.
I wish McKenzie was here. He would call it the Scott Norwood curse.
I'm telling you. I'm just thinking if they would have played that defense straight up, it probably would have won that game.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
So then we got so the Cincinnati Chiefs. I'm going with I like Cincinnati, but I just think Kansas City is the veteran team. Cincinnati is I like them. I just don't think that they've lost some games and some big games too. Lost to Green Bay, and I'm going with the Chiefs on this.
What about
with
the point spread?
I think they're gonna kill them by 10, maybe. I don't think they're gonna kill them, but I think it's gonna be a dominant win.
Chiefs play close. I'm sorry, not Chiefs. The Bengals play close games. I just noticed that all this season, basically, they play close games.
Yeah.
If it was 7.5, because I heard some sharps on this betting program today, and they were talking about that some people got 7.5, and then that was that was a nice bet. The 7.5. You could get it and go for it.
I think you're right, Casey. I think if I'm going to go, I might just take the points, because I think the Bengals will. I don't know, Todd. I don't think I'm going back and forth. I'm not decided, obviously. I see them winning by 10, but then I say, there was a time where the Chiefs couldn't cover a spread to save their life.
But here's who the Bengals lost to this year. They lost to Chicago. They lost to Green Bay. They lost to the Jets. They lost to Cleveland. They lost to the Chargers. They lost to the 49ers. I don't know. They probably beat Cleveland in the last game. But that's what I'm saying is that, to me, they were just too inconsistent. They lost some games they shouldn't have lost. And I think if they don't show up, they're just going to – I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think the Chiefs will just win. But, I was 1 for 4 last week. So
they got this quarterback is playing with confidence. I think he feels like, bring it on.
Which Chiefs defense shows up is kind of my thought too, because the Chiefs defense, they carried them for a while, and then when the Chiefs offense started coming back, the Chiefs defense started to play a little lackluster. So I'm really interested in which Chiefs defense shows up this week.
That's true.
It was 21-24 going into the fourth quarter, so that it all exploded at the end. So their defense held them to 21 points for 3 quarters. So their defense was. It just then all of a sudden, and Josh Allen is the fourth quarter Mandalorian quarterback. He'll just light you up in the fourth quarter, but they scored all those points in the last 10 minutes of the game. So I don't see that happening again. Like if they take 21,
25 points in 2 minutes or something.
yeah,
Was the stat?
something
It was kind of crazy.
It was
Kansas City gave up. They beat Green Bay. They gave up 7. They beat Dallas. They gave up 9. They beat Denver. They gave up 9. They beat the Raiders. They gave up 9. They beat Pittsburgh. They gave up 10. When they lost to Cincinnati, it was 31-34. That was a big loss. I don't know what happened again to Denver, but they, like you said, they're capable of. If their defense shows up, they're capable of really shutting them down. And
they were beating Cincinnati by like 20 points, and Cincinnati came back and won that game.
There must have been some turnovers then. I would
Jamar
like
Chase went crazy. That was the Jamar Chase crazy game.
Yeah, he had 255 yards and 3 touchdowns. So whatever they did, they got to scrap that plan because they could not stick him for 7.
They're going to double team him.
That's the hard part about the Bengals is that they have so many receivers that'll go over the middle, like Higgins.
Boyd is good.
Boyd. Another guy who's escaping my thought
Tyler
process.
Boyd.
And they'll go over the middle, so it makes it very hard to double chase all the time and not give up a lot over the middle. So, and Chase will go over the middle too. So that's you're right. I think you have to eliminate Chase, but boy, you're going to give up a lot on the interior routes if you double Chase.
Yeah, no, Boyd and T. Higgins are very capable of beating them without Chase. I mean, those two could put 100-yard games together, no problem. But then on the other side of the coin, you got, Kelsey and Tyreek, who haven't been able to been stopped by anybody for the last, 5 years that we've been watching those two play together. And now they got Mahomes, who, if you guys have noticed, all of a sudden now that the playoffs are here, he's starting to run more. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. Like during the season, he wouldn't run at all. Like I think he was saving himself. Like, all right, now I'm going to get out and I'm going to scoot. And he's been picking up chunk yards because they're so scared of that speed. Even McCall Hardman, you throw him out there and Tyreek and these guys are going and the coach has great plays that just confuse people. So this is going to be a good game. And I'm still not sure who to pick.
It's hard to beat a team twice, though. Remember in the NFL, it's really hard to beat a team twice. So, got that.
Gosh, you're right. But I thought I heard a stat today that the team that won the first game is like 8 out of 10 on the next game. So, it seems like the team that won you heard that one too?
Rick, I think it was in regard to the other game that the team beating a team 3 times in a season. Everyone thinks is so tough, but the number was something like 11-6. I think in the last 17 times it's happened. This was beating a team 3 times because that's the Rams Niners scenario. It's 11-6 for the team that won the first 2 in the last couple of years. I don't know how far back it goes.
I'm just going to say what I said last week, you guys. I'm just going to say Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid. You got experience. They've been to the show. They've been to the Super Bowl. They've won it. Joe Burrow, as good as he is, as good as those wide receivers are talented, I just think they don't have the experience yet. And I think Patrick Mahomes is going to just tear up that secondary, the Bengals secondary. They just have the experience and they have more talent for right now. But I agree with Rick. It's almost like when the Pistons couldn't get past the Celtics, or the Bulls, always had trouble also against the Pistons, right?
Right.
It's not their time yet.
And then they did. And then finally Jordan figured it out and it was over. And it was over at that point. But yeah, I remember like it was the bad boys. Nobody could beat them. And Jordan got slapped down a couple of times too, even though he would go for 60. But I think Todd's mic's off.
Yeah, I think you're on mute, Todd.
That's because I didn't want to hear myself. So yeah, Mahomes had He threw for 378 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then Josh Allen threw for 320 yards or something, and four touchdowns, no interceptions.
Josh Allen, wow,
he looks like a power forward playing quarterback.
So good, so good.
270 pounds, like.
No, he's not 270, but
Yeah,
did you see the DBs next to him?
270. He's 240.
Oh, okay, I'm off by 30. 240 still.
I mean, that's bigger than Derrick Henry.
Okay, you guys know Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet? It looked like that, you guys. It was like a DB next to Josh Allen looked like that.
Right.
I know. I wish the Bills would have won. I was so rooting for him. Dang.
Well, here's a quick take on the Bills.
Wisdom is that the Bills will be back contending for the Super Bowl next year. But I think they have a real obstacle in the offseason. Their offensive coordinator and Josh Allen whisperer, Brian Daboll, is most likely going to get a head coaching job. And their defensive-minded head coach, Sean McDermott, will have a major say in who the next OC is. And history has basically shown that defensive-minded coaches don't always make the best offensive coordinator picks. I think that'll be a decision that will reverberate in the NFL next year.
Yeah, you lose your offensive coordinator, and you bring in someone else. That could be a big loss. And I think there's like a lot of offensive coordinators that are up for jobs, for head coaching jobs this year.
Well,
if I can expound on that a little bit, it's interesting because when you get a defensive head coach, you have a couple of potential issues. One is, of course, if you're trying to develop a young quarterback, there's not the synergy there. But then when you get in a good offensive coordinator, you're going to lose him every year. Not every year, but you're going to lose the good ones. So when you have a defensive, but for example, like an Andy Reid as an offensive coach, you're not really that worried about your offense from year to year. But when you have a defensive coach like a Mike Zimmer or Vic Fangio, who is he going to choose as his offensive coordinator? So, because I've seen already, like I think Chicago's going with the defensive coach. That's the only 2 hires, and the other guy, Hackett, was hired today. He was an offensive coach.
Oh, for who?
Broncos.
He's Aaron Rodgers' OC, and Aaron Rodgers really likes him. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Is Aaron Rodgers going to Denver?
I don't know. Is he going to? Who went? What was the other quarterback that went to? Peyton Manning went to Denver, or he came from Denver?
No, he went to Denver.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm thinking Brian Flores and Aaron Rodgers to New Orleans. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh,
that's right.
I'm not hearing that. That's a good thought.
I didn't hear it at all. I'm not here, but if there's a lot of rumblings in Green Bay. No one knows what he's doing, and that game was just a disaster for them. Scoring only 10 points, that was shocking to me.
I think that Denver though, with that OC, that seems like a pretty neat little package they're pulling in Denver with John Elway.
You think it's going to be like a Brady Gronkowski thing? Like he's going to take his receiver with him, like his favorite receiver.
Absolutely.
Unless they franchise tag him, he can't. That's the only problem.
Why?
Because he can't
franchise tag Aaron Rodgers.
No,
Can he do that whole thing that athletes do now? It's like franchise tag me, I won't report, I won't play, I won't.
He has to sit out for the whole year.
But he might just to be just because why would you want to go back to that without? I don't know. Who is it? Devontae Adams who's their top?
Yeah,
you put him in Denver with the group they already have and the running back they have and that quarterback. My poor Chargers will never get out of here.
They let go of Von Miller, but got some draft picks. So maybe that's what they were thinking when they got rid of Von. Because, but I'm sure Aaron's like, well, you got rid of your number 1 defensive guy.
But Denver's good on defense still, even without him, right? Yeah,
it's a possible. Well, I was listening to what's his Glazer today, and he said Monday, if you'd have told me Aaron Rodgers was staying in Green Bay, was leaving Green Bay, I wouldn't have been shocked. He goes, I wouldn't be shocked if he stayed. he's talked to some of Aaron's close friends and stuff, and he's saying that it wouldn't surprise him if Aaron does stay there. But if Aaron does stay there, you have to sign him for a long time because he's a free agent next year, and you can't just let him walk for nothing and get nothing out of him. You keep him, you get rid of Love, and you keep Devontae, and you figure out a way to work it out. And I think that's what Aaron was saying at the end of the game. We've got a lot of pieces. We've got some free agency and money we need to figure out. And he's banking on them to figure out how, if he can keep all those guys, why leave Green Bay? You can run it back with those guys.
Maybe the weather.
Well, the Devontae Adams situation is interesting because he's going to be a huge cap hit either way. So you have Rodgers will be a big cap hit. Devontae, if they give him a contract, is a big cap hit. If they franchise him, he's an even bigger. I think his cap hit then is like $70 million or something. It's some crazy number. So that's a real tough one they have there, is to try and keep both of them, how they're going to arrange the money everywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if Aaron Rodgers wants to stay in. Maybe he doesn't want to stay there. Maybe he wants to go to
I think he's ready to spread his wings. That's my opinion.
He looks disgruntled to me. He looks like a disgruntled employee.
He did. When he walked off, he didn't look at the fans.
Well, I mean, he just got one and done, and he's going to be MVP 2 years in a row. He's been in the championship 2 out of 3 years. They've won a division 3 years, won 13 games in 3 years, and they can't pull the trigger and win. He's got one Super Bowl, and I blame all the other.
And he's 38. It's now or never for him.
And he's still like, his mechanics, his mind. He is with all the things. He is a great quarterback. That's just now they're saying his legacy's done. He might not go to the Hall of Fame because he hasn't gotten the second ring, and I'm just like,
he's going to go. He's going to
saying that now. Like they're saying, the rule now is to have 2 Super Bowls in order. And then you think about if Jimmy G goes to the Super Bowl, he's gone to one more Super Bowl than Aaron Rodgers, and he's not even in the same caliber as Aaron Rodgers.
But he hasn't won a Super Bowl, Jimmy G.
Yeah, but this will be his second one, and Aaron's only been in one.
Yeah, but everybody knows Aaron's 1,000 times better, right?
I know, but they're saying, but you look at it, he's got 2 appearances. Aaron's got 1. I mean, that's just what
I'm not buying that.
Aaron Rodgers, he's Super Bowl bound.
I like the idea of him going to New Orleans, though, but they don't want to keep him in the AFC. They're not going to keep him in the NFC.
No, I think he just got. Well, then I was looking because Manning went from the Colts to Denver, so he stayed in one. Because Brady went from AFC to NFC, so he may stay in there.
Had full autonomy. He's like, I'm coming here, but I get full say in what I want, and I think that's what Aaron wants too. He wants to go somewhere where he can pick. Like he did this year, he goes, I want Cobb back. And he got Cobb back, But then he tells you last year he loves the OC, and the OC's gone. Boom. I mean, granted, he's got a coaching job, but he's gone, and that's his OC.
It's an interesting thing with Rodgers, too, in the sense of, well, you say if he stays in Green Bay, he's got no competition in the division, basically. You got Detroit, you got Minnesota, and whatever the other flotsam and jetsam is. Chicago. Some would say, well, if you go to the Broncos, it's a tough division. But what has been being in a weak division helped him anyway? So in a way, and one other point is, I don't think if the Packers move him, I don't think they're going to care too much about AFC versus NFC, because let's face it, if they move him, they're in a world of hurt because they're going to have Jordan Love or Teddy Bridgewater in the sense of a trade, or if they bring back assets. So they're in a world of hurt if he goes anyway, because who are they going to have a quarterback? So to me, if they have to move him, it's get the best deal, regardless of where it is in the division or even the conference.
I think the wild card is going to be the San Francisco 49ers if they get eliminated this week and Jimmy G doesn't come through. He is their Achilles heel, unfortunately. So, I mean, can you imagine Aaron Rodgers going back to his hometown and playing for the Niners? Can you imagine him on that squad with that personnel? I mean, they're going to be unstoppable.
I don't know, though. They gave up too many draft picks for that kid. They got that trade Lance, so I don't know that they're going to do that. But honestly, Jimmy G was throwing dimes at the beginning, and those guys were dropping him. Even Kittle dropped a dime. Then he pulled his Jimmy G interception at the end, but it resulted in no points. But Jimmy G was on point in that first half. He was
Jimmy G was good.
dropping them like in his hands. He had some beautiful little passes.
Even late in that game, he was quite.
He just throws that Jimmy G's that interception here and there when it's at the worst time. It's like,
but you know, and that's true.
But he was pretty good in that game, I have to say.
But Shanahan has no confidence in Jimmy G. What does he do on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7 with the game on the line? He gives the ball to Deebo Samuels. He doesn't give it to Jimmy G.
You have to anyway because
Jimmy G's going to probably throw an interception.
Did you guys already go pick the Rams Niners?
No.
But before we do, we have a little. I didn't really review this one, but I know it's a little bit about Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers' accomplishments and talent. There's always been this undercurrent that he can be a bit tentative. And after the Mercedes Lewis fumble and the drop pass by backup tight end Josiah DeGuara, he really tried to just force feed the ball to Davante Adams. Late in the game, on a key 3rd down, he tried to force the ball into Adams, which resulted in an interception. A look at the replay showed that both Equanimous St. Brown and Alan Lazard were open for first down yardage. If Aaron Rodgers, wherever he may be next year, wants to get back to the Super Bowl, he's going to have to insert a little more gunslinging into his game, in my opinion.
You know, I like that. The only thing I'm wondering is that weather was so bad in Green Bay that, you know, I don't know how the field of vision was for each player and what you're looking at. You know, maybe he's just looking at. I mean, the game was so low scoring.
No, Aaron Rodgers. When you lose his trust, he will not throw to you, and he'll go to the ones. That's why he wanted Cobb back, because Cobb, before he got hurt, would catch everything he threw his way. He knows Devontae's going to catch it. He knows Aaron's going to catch it. And like Scantling had dropped some key passes in the beginning of the season, and he had to win his way back into Aaron's heart. And Aaron's like, "You've dropped passes on me." So he's one of those guys. Once you lose his trust, even if he knows you're open, he'll find the guy he trusts more, and that could be a detriment to him winning some things. But that's how he plays. Once you lose his trust, he's not going to.
You can't blame a person for that. Like if a guy, I mean, there's some players that I've seen, like one player in each on teams drop 2 passes in a game that were right to him. You know, how do you throw to him again if there's another option? So yeah, I guess you got to regain the trust.
And you know, Todd, sorry to interrupt, but you know, going back to the weather of that game, if you think about both of those teams and their offenses, that weather was tailored more towards San Francisco's offense because they run, they pound the ball, they're physical, you know, and Green Bay is more of a finesse team. They're more of a passing team. So it only makes sense that the 49ers were going to have more success, even though most of the success came on special teams.
You know, Garoppolo did not win that game. He did nothing to win that game. That's why I think the Rams are going to kill them. Garoppolo, without the blocks, the block punt and the block field goal, without that, the Packers win. You know, it wasn't like Rodgers didn't play well enough to win the game, but neither did Garoppolo. And the special teams, if you want to call them, it was the offensive line. There was some weakness on that offensive line for the punt or the special team line for the punt and the field goal that let them in. And there's a major problem.
No, I thought the 49ers deserved to win. I thought they played better. I thought they were in the game. They were gritty. And I don't think we could always say without this and without that, they went to one, even though, but those plays happen and it's part of the game and they made them.
Well, right. No doubt.
So I'm not one that,
and wasn't that block punt? Wasn't the block punt like inside the 10 or something?
No, yeah, absolutely. It was a scoop from the 2.
Yeah, so it wasn't like Green Bay made a big offensive
huge
move.
Play though, huge.
Right.
But that's been their Achilles heel, special teams. Like, you know, they were, the coach was like, I just don't want to lose the game on special teams, and he did lose the game on special teams. But San Francisco, that's a wild dog right there. That leads
us into this game. That leads us into the Rams 49ers. You know, it's a big, 49ers, won 7 games in a row versus the Rams?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
All I know
interested to
is-
see. Go ahead, Remy.
No, you go ahead, Casey.
I was going to say, I'll be interested to see how the Rams defense holds up because Kyle Shanahan, he will toss sweep the ball not 3 or 4 times a game, 15 times a game. And he will make your defensive backs, your Jalen Ramseys, come up and make plays. He has no problem toss sweeping it, like, again, multiple times and make you stop them. The Rams defense has really improved. I'll be really interested to see how they deal with the fact that they're going to have to be playing the running game all day long.
And they're not scared of running trick plays. I'm sorry, Remy. They're not scared of run trick plays. If you guys remember, Deebo Samuels threw a pass on one of those sweeps because they sucked the Rams defense in, on they thought it was going to be a run play, and Deebo Samuels threw a touchdown. So you got to be careful with that.
So what are the Rams' strengths going against the 49ers? Julio, what do you think? Rams' strength, 49ers.
I'm gonna say just screen passes, man.
Getting rid of Jared Goff.
Well, that's going to prove a point right now because Stafford has to win this game. He really does. I mean, you get the home game, you get the quarterback that you traded for. I think it's time for the Rams to take this game. I think 7 in a row. I don't see 8. I know everybody's on the Niners, though. A lot of people I follow are on the Niners here, but I think the Rams offense.
Did the 49ers beat the Rams when they had Beckham, or did they play both games before Beckham?
No, they beat him with Beckham, but it was a new Beckham. He didn't get a lot of run in that game. I think he maybe played 25% of the snaps at that time.
I mean, not a couple of weeks ago, though.
What's that?
Not several weeks ago. Beckham, the last time they played was week 18. Did they play week 18?
My bad. I was talking earlier in the season.
Right.
Yeah. No, Beckham got shut down. I think he had 2 catches in that game.
Becker Cooper Kupp could be like that's a great duo there. That's a threatening duo
Cooper
now.
Kupp is amazing.
But that offensive line has to give Stafford enough time to find those guys. You got Bosa just coming at you. So you got to make sure that, to keep that defense honest, you got to make sure you run some screen plays or some play action plays, or else they're going to get on top of Stafford quick.
Yeah. And I also think the Rams are going to turn. I think they're going to turn a little bit more to Sony Michel in this game. I think he's going to get some play here. A little hard nose, stick his nose in there. And you're right. I do think Cam Akers might benefit from some screen passes with that speed. The 49ers, again, though, like you could get to Jimmy G and you could force him off his spot and you can make him make mistakes. So if the Rams get out quick, they got to get out quick, like put up a 14-0 lead and change that atmosphere. Because if the 49ers come down and score and run the ball and get up 7-0, 10-0, pin their ears back, might be a long afternoon for the Rams. And then we don't know who's going to have the home field advantage, which is also interesting. Which also sucks for the Rams.
But I don't know, Rick, if they even have a 20-point lead. They don't seem to hold on to their leads, and that's what's really bumming me out about the Rams in the fourth quarter. They had a 17-0 lead against them in week 16. Let them in, and they've wreaked havoc through the playoffs because they beat Dallas Cowboys and they beat Green Bay.
Right,
and then to almost give up that lead last week, to almost lose that game, to let them tie the game.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Unacceptable behavior.
That was ridiculous.
Should not have happened.
Especially that fumble at the 1 by Akers. That was
what was that?
I had him on my DraftKings, guys.
That was terrible. Like, I mean, that was about to start the blowout right there, right?
But I think that's sealed for me. It's sealed for me, Stafford being a quarterback, because he threw those 2 beautiful passes to Kupp in the end to get the field goal and to win the game.
Kupp, how does he get so open?
How does the Tampa Bay let him get so open? It's kind of like letting Kelsey and Hill get open. How's this guy open? Like the week before, he couldn't get open. I mean, because
I think the Rams are going to have such confidence going into this game. They beat the Buccaneers. They beat Brady. Garoppolo beat the other team, but again, they didn't really. They scored 10 points. It wasn't even with 13, but I think the Rams are just gonna. They're so strong right now.
The thing
The
with Cup,
Rams.
the thing with Cup is that he gets great releases off the line. He runs really good routes. He high points the ball well, and he also finds open spaces and zones. So unless you're just committed to double teaming him, which of course with Higbee and with Beckham is really tough, he's going to get his, because I think when he had that down game 2 weeks ago, I mean he was basically they were looking to take him out of the game. There was no doubt. Who would they play? I'm spacing their Arizona. You know, they didn't want anything to do with Cup beating them, so they got beat by Higbee and Akers and Beckham.
Yeah, and those guys are capable of beating you. So this is going to be a fascinating game. It's going to be really good, and it's going to be really close. And I think I see the Rams coming out on top. I don't know. A lot of people are taking the 3.5 points though, because they feel like it's a coin toss game. Why not get 3.5? Why not take the points when nobody really knows who's going to win? You always fade on taking the points, especially with the hook. But I feel like it's the Rams' time. They put all their chips in, and I don't know. I have some faith in Sean McVay. Like, I guarantee you that dude's not sleeping. He's watching. He's watching film, and I guarantee he's getting 2 hours of sleep a night. He's going to figure out a way to get his boys to stop the run. He's got to. If they don't stop the run, it's over. Like he's gonna tell them, look, this is it. You guys got to, figure this out. This is what we're gonna do. They have to stop the run, and if they could stop their run, I think we can get them. Although Jimmy G's. Everyone thinks he sucks, but he doesn't. He doesn't. He
doesn't. But I just don't think he performed in this last game, and I just think that the Rams is just really, again, since Beckham came, they're a different team than they were. I just believe that. And
more swag.
Von Miller's waking up too. So,
and then you got number 99 to wreck anything, who can't be blocked. So. All right, I said my pick. Who are you guys? Who do you got?
I'm with the Rams. Even given points, I'm with the Rams. I don't think it's going to be close.
So you like both favorites, it sounds like, Todd.
Yeah, but I think I liked them last week too. I didn't do good.
That happens. That happens.
Yeah. That was a wild week. I was in Green Bay. I was just shocked at that game, at losing to San Francisco like that. I was shocked.
Good. They played good. Because didn't Green Bay come out and score 7 points like really fast?
I mean, they look
on their first series, yeah.
I thought it was going to be a long day.
Then they 3-and-downed them, and then Mercedes did that interception, fumbled, and then the game just went into they just shut down. And I was like, oh, I woke up that morning because I picked the Packers, and I woke up going, I don't know why. I go, the Packers are going to lose. This weird feeling just came over me, and I got really sad. I'm like, because I picked Packers, Kansas City Super Bowl. And I was just so close. And
I had a weird feeling because both of those coaches script their plays like their first 15 to 20, and it was almost like LaFleur. He got through his scripted plays on that first drive or so, and then he kind of ran out of ideas. Whereas Shanahan, they went 3 and out the first 3 series. I think it was they only ran like 9 plays, I think, or 12 plays in the first 3 drives. And I was just wondering, I'm like, this script and plays thing, what happens if you blow your wad in the first drive or 2 and then you don't adjust well? And that's kind of a feeling I got from LaFleur in that game.
Well, we'll see. So who are you going with on this one, Casey? Straight up.
I'm going to go with the Rams. I went with the Rams last week. I'll go with them again. But I just, like I said, that if they get into a bully ball game, a rock fight in a phone booth, as they call it, I don't know what they do, because what will happen is the Niners can get pressure with rushing just 4 guys, and that's huge when you can get pressure rushing 4 guys, because it really you can drop more back into coverage. So, but gut feeling is especially 3.5. Well, no, sorry, 3 versus the 3.5. I'm Rams.
I'm Rams.
I'm going.
Julio,
I'm going Rams.
Julio's got. Well, we're gonna wait on you, Remy. You're a surprise. Julio,
Okay.
you're a Rams dude all the way.
You know, when my heart says Rams, but Casey brings up a great point. Bully ball. We know San Francisco is really good at it. We know they're going to give the ball to Debo. We know they're going to give it to Mitchell. We know they're going to run it down your throat, and you still can't stop it. So, saying that, the Rams definitely need to not blitz. Rapp is coming back for this game from injury. Keep him as a spy. Make sure that you do not get blocked. I know it's easier said than done. And stop Deebo Samuel from getting those first downs. If you can do that, I know that Jalen Ramsey got burned by Mike Evans. I know he got burned. That's a lessons learned for him, and I hope he doesn't get burned this game because he's going to be integral to stopping that run. He's going to play a big part. But I'm going to pick the Rams with my heart, but I am very afraid of
Good, then you can root. You got a team to root for. Got a team. All right, the surprise pick of the day.
Now I'm going with the Rams and Kansas City, but if by chance the Bengals beat Kansas City, then I think the gods and the referees are going to make it where the 49ers win, and it's going to be the 49ers Bengals.
Well, you know, Cincinnati.
Bengals play first, so we'll know. If Bengals do win by chance, then the 49ers will beat the Rams, but I'm going Rams, Kansas City.
Right. Okay, you're going Rams, Kansas. Cincinnati, to me, is new. They're young. They really have nothing to prove. They're on their way up, but they have nothing to prove. The Chiefs, they've been there. They're veterans. They know how to win. The 49ers, huh?
They lost last year, so they got that taste in their mouth.
They're eager. They're eager. The 49ers, I don't know. I just don't think they should be there. I think that was a fluke win. And the Rams, I think their biggest pro is they got a lot of players who got something to prove. They got the coach who's got something to prove. He needs to get there. Stafford's got something to prove. Beckham is. I don't think Cooper Kupp's got a lot to prove. He's just good, but I think Beckham's got something to prove. And I think you got guys on that team that got something to prove.
Yeah, I agree.
They could be on a mission.
I don't, but I think Burrow does want to prove something too. He wants to be the youngest quarterback to go to the Super Bowl and take that away from Ben Roethlisberger, because he's to this day the youngest quarterback to win a Super Bowl and go. And Burrow can do that if he goes this weekend.
No, and that's cool. I just don't think Bengals as a whole. I don't think Bengals as a whole are that team though. I can see Burrows, but I don't see Bengals at that level yet.
And think how good the Bills played, and I mean that was like the Bengals would have got smoked if they were on the field with either of those teams that day, because those two teams were like there was nobody in the NFL that could have stayed on the field with either of those teams that day. They were both of them just on fire offensively. Everything worked great.
It makes you wonder if they shot their wad and kept it all for that game, because, you know, did you see like how Mahomes after the game didn't even go to his friends? He ran right out for Josh Allen to find Josh Allen and gave him a hug. Like that was
it was nice.
The thing that bothered me though was he threw his football helmet, and I'm like, man, I want that helmet. He just tossed it off. But
I mean, that's another thing too. That to me, out of anything, is probably going to be the best game we saw all through the playoffs. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to top that. Even the Super Bowl. Sorry.
All those games were so good, though, right? They were all really
that game
in a different way. They each were good in a different way.
They were all pretty exciting.
That game is one of those games that where your children are going to say, "Hey, my dad saw that game." It's one of those historic games. Everyone's going to be talking about it for years. 17 seconds. Yeah. They got into field goal range.
Actually, it was 13.
13.
13 seconons.
Even less.
But I mean, I felt like I was watching a Jordan-esque type of a moment, and I was lucky to see Jordan in his heyday, and now I'm seeing Patrick Mahomes. It's just unbelievable.
Well, that field goal cost me $1,000, so that was kind of a bummer.
Oh no!
Yeah. So, Rick, Who do you see in the Super Bowl coming up?
I got to go Chiefs Rams. I got to go
Rams?
Chiefs Rams. My pick was
Yeah.
Bills Packers, but so I'm way off.
Well,
That ain't gonna happen. I thought the Bills were gonna get there. They were close.
Yeah.
But now that the Rams are left, I think they're the best team standing.
So do I.
Tampa Bay was a little bit wounded, but you still have to be good to beat Tampa Bay with that coach.
They're not a layover. They're not a lay down team. Tampa Bay.
No, not with that coach, not with that quarterback.
No.
They had their running back, Leonard Fournette.
They have
was back.
receivers. They're a solid. Tampa Bay's a solid. Tampa Bay probably could have beat the way the other teams look, except for maybe the Bills Chiefs game. Tampa Bay would have beat any other team in the way they played.
Well, Tampa Bay would be in the NFC Championship game and going to the Super Bowl if they didn't lose those two wide receivers, Brown and Godwin. I mean, they weren't going to get beat.
How do you think that Antonio Brown, right? How do you think that affected that game?
Huge. Oh, huge. Antonio Brown, as crazy
What a
as
mental
he is,
case.
as crazy as he is, he was still balling out. He was still
Yeah.
a pain in the ass. And he's great at football. I mean, he might not be great at life, but he's great at football.
And who do you blame for that? Do you blame the coach, or what do you blame? Like, that's tough.
That whole thing. I think it's. I don't know.
He's got mental issues, and he doesn't want to believe. He doesn't want to face it. He's got some mental issues, and he's denying it, and he's not. And there's so many people in the football that want to help you. You've gotten so many chances. So many people wanted to help you. You called Brady out. The guy let you live in his house with his family and his wife. And you said he wasn't giving you the ball enough, and it became a money situation. You're not a team player.
He's cuckoo. You're right. He's like a cocaine addict denying his problem, right?
Right.
I can't remember who I heard this week on, I think it was NFL Today. I can't remember. Someone talking about Antonio Brown. The moment that he started going, he wasn't mentally stable, was after that Cincinnati game, that playoff game. Do you guys remember when he was with the Steelers and he got hit by, I think it was Burvick from the Bengals that gave him a concussion? And people are saying that ever since then, he hasn't been the same person, that he's been off a little bit. So that could be a result of
CTE.
CTE. That's what they're saying.
I think so. I think he's living with it and playing with it at the same time. I definitely see what you're saying.
I had a log fall on my head when I was the counselor at camp. That may.
That
was big.
Oh, is that what's wrong with you?
But Antonio Brown, right? It's one of your top players not showing up for the playoffs. That's tough.
Yeah, no, it's way tough. And Chris Godwin is great. He's better than Mike Evans. A different player, but as good. So, and Brady, I mean, with those three guys, they were going to be a really tough out. But they, without those two, and then they lost that lineman, I felt like the Rams had that door open, and they came out and smoked them without those turnovers. That would have been we can't say without, because they did do it, but I mean, that was a fifth.
Did LA turn the ball over towards the end of the game?
Yeah.
3 times.
Nice.
Really late in the game. But wasn't it when they were trying to run the clock down?
See, and that's McVay. I hate when McVay does that. Just if you got your foot against the other team's throat, just keep pounding. I mean, don't stop your offense because you're trying to manage the clock, man. Come on, keep it going.
Like Brady, though. Like Brady, you got to do it against Brady. You got to do it against Josh. You got to do it against Mahomes. Those 3 quarterbacks and Rodgers. You can't give them more than 5 seconds because even we can see 13 seconds. Rodgers done it in 10 seconds. That's the thing with that. The thing with the Akers, the one with the Akers, it was so minuscule because he fell on his head and the ball popped out when they were on the 1 yard line. That would have been 27-0, and it would have sealed the game at the end of the first quarter.
On the head, I remember that.
But it was so minuscule, but it was still a fumble that was going right in for a touchdown.
It came out really late.
27-0. They would never. I don't think there would have been a comeback because
that was 20-0, right? When they were about to go in,
going and make it 27-0 at halftime, because they had no chance and they came back and got a field goal.
And he made the same mistake in Week 18 against the Niners. As soon as we got the lead, he started running the ball and doing clock management. You can't do that. Keep going. Keep running your offense. Keep finding Cooper Kupp on these routes. Keep throwing it to Odell. Don't start running the ball just to run clock. You can't.
So I got two bets, 2 player props for you.
Okay.
Ready? We're gonna go Mahomes. These are the player props, and I've been hitting some of these.
Okay.
Mahomes, his over-under on yardage is 29.5 on scrambling yards. What do you guys think?
I go over.
Me too.
I'm gonna
I'm
go
going
over.
over.
How does
I'm
hey
going
Rick?
over.
Does do sacks play into that? Because I know sacks
Yeah.
are held against the offense. For
Yeah, it's a
rushing
minus.
yards. Okay.
It's a minus.
What did he run last week? What did
Oh,
do?
he had like 80.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, he had a ton of long runs.
And he did
Yeah,
it early
I think
that
he had
week,
like
too.
69. I think he had
Yeah,
around 69.
He had a bunch of yards.
Yeah.
Seems like he can get 30 yards to me. He could get it on one run. That's why I like that bet. Because that middle's open and he knows how to kind of like squirm in there and get scooting. Because he kind of doesn't run, he scoots, if you notice. He kind of scoots along.
And what's your number 2?
So I'll put it up here. Over under 72.5, Travis Kelce.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'm saying yes. Money player. Spotlight. Shut down Tyreek. I'd rather shut down Tyreek and let Kelce have 100 yards than have Tyreek. Tyreek's 100 yards seem more deadly to me. I don't know why.
Kelsey's a death by 1,000 cuts. That's the Kelsey thing. You're looking. You're going to die by 1,000 cuts versus, like you were saying, Tyreek. You're going to get cut and slashed and disemboweled on 1 or 2 plays.
Your head's going to be like, where'd that dude go?
Yeah, because Kelsey's going to catch 70 in one pass, and Tyreek's going to catch 20 and then run for 40 to make it 70. Yeah. That's how he does it.
He's got to be the toughest guy to tackle in the NFL.
I'll give you one more. This one I think we're all going to agree on. That should say over under. 1.5 TDs, Joe Burrow.
That's the pick?
Right? That seems over, right?
That's over.
Maybe I read that wrong. How could that be so?
Now you're talking passing or combined passing or running?
Touchdown.
Passing. Running doesn't count.
Okay.
But how do you get on 1.5 of a touchdown?
You don't. You have to get 2 to win.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just weird that's the stat.
That's what they do. So if you get 1, you lose. But if you get
Because if they put it at 2, it's a push, and no one wants that.
I think he gets at least 2.
Oh, yeah.
I would think he's going to get 2.
Yeah. I would too. I think he's good.
No,
I don't think he's going to. They may lose by a lot, but he ain't going to lay down.
Did he have any touch? How many?
I think that might be the easiest call. I might have to go back and put that bet in now. I don't see how he doesn't throw 2 touchdowns. If he doesn't throw 2 touchdowns, they're going to lose by 14 plus. Right?
Did he throw any last week? Did he have a touchdown last week? Wasn't it field goal?
He had to have.
It was
McPherson kicked a lot of field goals.
19.
Oh, you're right. Maybe that's why it's so low, because he didn't have a ton.
You can win that one in garbage time.
Here's
in the
one
sense
for you.
that they're far behind.
Julia. This is a good one. I think I know where you're going on this.
Cam Akers.
Ooh.
Hey, Rick.
I don't know, man. He got fumbleitis. I think Sony Michel's going to get most of those carries now.
I feel the same way. I think that's a sucker bet. I think then again, like maybe he comes off and sparks him, and then McVay goes with the hot hand, and you lose that bet. But I think late in the game he's going to go with Sony Michel if they have a lead.
I agree.
And none of these guys have been getting over 100 yards.
No, he's not. He wasn't even close to 61, was he? Last game, I don't think so.
No, they were around 65, I think.
Rick, Burrow didn't have a touchdown last week. Not one, 0.
So that's why they put it up. But this is the Chiefs. So he's going to come out swinging. I think that's an over.
Yeah, but aren't the Chiefs defense better than the Titans defense?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think the Titans defense was rated better, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Their pass rush that was evidenced by nine sacks.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Jeffrey Simmons, his last name is Simmons. He's a monster on the Titans.
That's why I was impressed. 9 sacks with Burrow, and he just kept coming at him. Like most guys would have like, okay, my guy's gonna block for me. Fuck this. I'm out of here. But I mean,
it's an interesting trade-off they made because they didn't go with Penei Sewell in the draft, an offensive lineman, and they went with Chase. So they've been getting so much bang for the buck from Chase. And, of course, the lack of having an offensive lineman is hurting them. But here they are in the championship game. So I think you would take that trade-off most of the time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Count me in. I think now that we see Chase, who could be like, I mean, he's young, but, man, he's proven that he could be an all-timer here.
And Joe
Casey,
Burrow,
who's your Super Bowl pick?
I'm going to go Bengals-Rams. I've ridden the Bengals thus far. Now, on the points, I definitely love the Bengals on the points. And one other thing, caveat I'd say, because Remy was talking about, we're not going to see as good a game as we, with the Bills and Chiefs. Chiefs-Rams could be a great Super Bowl. It could be. Now, I think there's a little. I don't know. Was there more build-up for the Chiefs? Do you think was more build-up for the Chiefs-Bills than there would be for Chiefs-Rams in the Super Bowl? I know Super Bowl is always hyped up.
No, Chiefs-Rams. That's a star-studded game. That's a
star-studded game. The network wants to see that game.
That's a star-studded game. Patrick Mahomes, probably what we've seen as the best quarterback in the NFL. You got Beckham, you got Cooper Kupp, who just, didn't he just beat Jerry Rice's records, which was kind of unheard of because we all know how great Jerry Rice was. And then you have the sunshine and the star-studded LA with all the movie stars. That's the game.
That big home field advantage. That would be great to see.
Now be careful with that. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
If the Chief fans show up because
they will. There's a lot of movie stars that are like Chief fans. Like
they travel, and I think
Paul Rudd is a big Kansas City fan. The guy from Modern Family is a big Kansas City.
They might just buy 100 seats.
What about Saul?
Hey, before I go, did you guys watch that show with Paul Rudd on Netflix and Will Ferrell?
No, I haven't. Is it good?
The Shrink Next Door?
No, yeah. Is it any good?
10. 10 plus. 10 plus. Really?
Oh, okay. You know the name of it or no?
The Shrink Next Door.
Is it on Netflix or is it on Apple? I think it's on Apple, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, Apple. You're right. You're out. I don't know if you don't have Apple TV, you can't see it, but wow, that was surprisingly, what a crazy story. Did you hear that story, Todd, about how that was a crazy based on a true story?
Based on a true story. Oh, okay.
That'll have to be on the other podcast.
Yeah. So crazy Shrink, man. He milked this guy for 30 years. Wild.
I want to see that.
It's wild.
So before you go, because we're going to sign it off, what do you think of Novak Djokovic being out of the Australian Open? Agree or disagree? I know there's a little takeoff on the side if you follow tennis at all. But
bye, bad guy.
Oh, you think he shouldn't be in it?
Bye. This is my year. Bye, bad guy. Bye, Ben. Bye, Aaron. Bye, Djokovic. I'm loving saying bye to bad guys this season. Sorry.
Bye. Follow the rules. It's rules for you and me and everybody on this podcast.
What rule did he not follow?
He wasn't vaccinated.
Not vaccinated.
You had to be vaccinated to be in. I thought you just had to be vaccinated or negative.
Nope. No, it's vaccinated. Yeah. And the other thing is 99% of the players in the tournament are vaccinated. Right. Novak likes the rules to be for himself.
Correct.
Well, it's right in his name, Novak. It's right there. So,
Novak, you're right.
I just thought of that. I just saw it. But I don't know. I just think that is going too far. People are. That's just my opinion. I think it's going too far. These are athletes. They go to play, and if that's the rule, okay, then you don't play. But
Yeah.
I think it's going too far.
Enough.
These go. If the
Todd?
players, I don't know. I don't know if I heard any players talk about it, but
I'm a huge tennis head. I watch a lot of tennis.
right.
He's a bad guy. Nobody likes Novak. It's on the tour. He's not well liked at all.
Yeah, I think that's why it's happening, and no one's really making a big deal because he's got a bad rap, and no one really likes him. But the
Is it because he's so good, or is it because he's nasty?
He's
both.
He's not a team. He's not very
Likeable.
sportsman.
He's
like
not
a sportsman.
Yeah.
Sportsman, right? What's that the word?
So he didn't get any sympathy from them because they just don't like him.
no.
He's
That's what it
done a
is.
lot of. He plays by his own rules. That's kind of the his reputation on the tour is nothing applies to him ever. And he is great, and he loves being the villain too. He's one of those guys that he loves when the crowd is against him. That's where he plays some of his best tennis, is when the crowd is just totally against him. And so that's his. I shouldn't say his.
You think he plays up that role? He knows what he's doing.
I think so. He's a great player, by the way. He
Great.
might
He's
be the best player
phenomenal.
ever.
Phenomenal.
I can hate him, but still think he might be the best player ever.
When you talk about the bad guy, there was a documentary, Borg and McEnroe or something, or not Borg and McEnroe, Connors and McEnroe, or it was on Connors and he talked about McEnroe. It was just a great documentary on how they evolved and the bad guy, good guy, but then they play up the personalities. So I just think that I think that it goes too far. I think people.
Hey, Todd.
Yeah.
I got another one for you. What if the Brooklyn Nets go to the finals and Kyrie Irving can't play the home games?
They changed that, didn't they? Didn't they change that rule?
I don't think
Nope.
so. No,
I
you can't.
thought they were going to change it because they got the new governor or a new mayor in New York was going to change the rules so he could play. Not him personally, but the rules make it where he can play.
Well, wouldn't that
I think it's a shame that these guys are spitting all over each other, and to do that is.
But it makes no sense. You can play in another arena, but you can't play. It doesn't make that to me is the weird one.
No sense.
You can't do if you're.
Can you play in LA? I don't think you can play in LA.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
As long as you get tested.
Yeah, but you can't play in New York at all.
Without a vax. Yeah.
But other teams can come play if their players are not vaxxed, can play in Brooklyn.
Makes no sense.
That makes no sense. That's the thing. It's like, so Curry can come in there if he's not. I think he's vaxxed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He can come and play because he plays for another team.
Oh, that's stupid.
That's
ridiculous.
I didn't.
It
know
only
that.
applies to the residents,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or-
only-
or-
That's
or
that's.
if you work
I
in
didn't
the
think-
state of New
I
York.
didn't know that had that twist to it. That's
Yeah.
That's dumb. That's not preventing anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. He should have just asked to be traded in that case.
Or should have just taken a jab and moved on.
He thinks the world's flat. You think he's going to take a shot?
He's obviously very anti. So I mean, like there is no more anti than that guy. My goodness, that is God. And talk about like not succumbing to peer pressure of your team and management. Man, I couldn't imagine his.
James Harden
he's on another.
But
level.
how do you know if there are other teammates that support his decision of choice though?
They have said it publicly. They're not putting pressure on him. It's his life. It's his choice.
Yeah.
But
So
James
there-
Harden, there's been some rumblings. He's not happy with the sitch because he's having to carry a lot of the load
I bet.
while Kyrie's out.
James Harden, the guy who got overweight and didn't play last year to get traded.
You know what?
Didn't give a shit about his
I-
other team. Fuck that guy.
I've worked a ton of
Sorry.
playoff games, and I think James Harden is the biggest choker in the playoffs, like one of the biggest chokers of all time in the playoffs.
Well, that's why he needs Kyrie.
I hate his
Well, he's
style of play.
always had somebody. He's just not that guy. He's just one of those guys that's not going to bring you to the edge.
That's why
He just-
Houston never went to the playoffs because he was the only guy. He didn't have
Never.
it
Well, no, didn't they have Chris Paul at one time?
for a minute.
You know?
And then Chris Paul, then he left.
Because Yeah, because you can't play with Harden. Harden. He was with Oklahoma. They had Harden, uh, uh,
Durant.
Durant,
Paul.
Westbrook.
Westbrook, Ibaka, and they went to the finals, I think, one time. And I mean, that is a superstar team that
They were
was
younger
naturally
then.
put together. It wasn't like they had to buy that team, and they
No,
couldn't.
they
And Scott
drafted
Brooks,
that kid.
And he played an unwatchable
yeah, but that to me that
brand
also
of
showed the
basketball
failure
for a
of
little
Scott
while.
Brooks as the coach.
Yeah.
James
no,
Harden, I
that's-
couldn't watch his games for a while there before they changed the rules because it was just unwatchable. He would just flail.
Remember
and
that
draw
playoff game?
contact.
He's throwing the ball in the crowd, and he's it was a horror show. With
Another
that
bad
guy. He's a
All right,
James.
I gotta
James-
go. It was lovely seeing
Me
all
too.
of you.
Thanks.
Good
I'm going to
luck.
wrap it up. Thanks
We'll see
everybody
you.
for coming on. I know it was last minute and a little jerky. Thank you so much. This was good. Next week will be pre-Super Bowl week. No, wait a second. That Super Bowl is in 2 weeks, so there's a week off. There's a bye week, but I think we'll do a show next week. Again, I'm not sure what's happening the following week. Maybe I'll be able to do the show from SoFi Stadium if they let me. So I throw me out. I was at halftime one day for the All-Star game. I used to work all the All-Star games, and during the rehearsals, I was able to go out into the arena and just sit there. I watched Destiny's Child, Christina Aguilera, all these people. I would just sit in the audience, and I was like 30 feet away from them. So Christina Aguilera is rehearsing. She's got such star power. And I had my phone out, and a security guard just runs over to me, and yeah, you better put that away. I'm going to throw you out of here. I'm like, oh, okay. They didn't want any of that stuff. I mean, you could sit and watch them, but you can't film them. So so that's that. So hopefully, if maybe I'll get into SoFi on Thursday and be able to do it. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it so much. Again, sorry I was late. It was a little chaotic. It's chaotic every week, isn't it? I am all over the place. I don't know where I am from one day to the next. Rick, thanks for poking in, coming on, and Casey, thanks again for your features. Love them. Julio, thanks for your LA support. Remy, thanks for your little surprises. We never know where you're going to come from, and that's it. So I don't have any closing cards tonight. I couldn't put it together, and I didn't have any graphics for this one. Mr. Graphics Man had no graphics for the show. I'm sorry. So I will see you guys, and I really appreciate it. And get the replays on YouTube and Facebook. There's a Sports Glutton Facebook group, and you could hear the podcast on Todd You're an Idiot on Spotify and Apple and whatever other podcasts there are. So you could check those out once they're up. And there's some other podcasts on there too that are pretty fun, that are non-sports, and they're fun, they're funny, and that's about it. So this is going to be a great weekend of playoff football. Rams at home versus, I don't know who they're playing. And the other team is on the AFC. The Super Bowl is going to be 3:30 Pacific time, 6:30 Eastern on NBC. I wanted to say that earlier. I didn't say it, but it's 3:30 because it's got to go to the East Coast. So we're used to watching them at 6:30 sometimes. I think, I don't even know, or 12:30, whatever. So, all righty, guys and girls, I appreciate it, and I will see you all next week. Peace.